Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. So, I will give a short introduction about Professor Gururaj. He is an associate professor in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences and placement officer in the Department of Training and Placement at NIT Trichy. He has completed his BA in English Language and Literature from Madras University and his MA in English Language and Literature from Bharatdasan University. He has also completed certifications on teaching English to speakers of other language offered by Trinity College London and teaching English as a foreign language offered by TEFL International Thailand. He is a life member of Asia TEFL. He has published a book, The Bedtime Mailbox, in the year 2007. He has handled several sessions in and across NIT Trichy for employers, faculty members, students, etc. His specialization involves technical communication, language, and linguistics. So I request you, sir, to continue with the session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for one of the very short, simple, sweet introduction. Thank you so much. Okay. So I've requested Mr. Jagan to share my PPT. So we'll just start off with that. In case there is an issue of a bandwidth, I would expect a participant to suggest to me whether I should turn off my video. So should I turn off my video and then I have only the audio part?
Yes, sir, you can turn off because anyway the concentration will be on PPTs.
Absolutely fine. So I have turned off my video, so you could no longer see me. So not a very attractive person to look at, but then as Sri said, so the concentration has to be on my slides. Okay. Now this slide is a very small set of slides, and the session would be there for slightly more than an hour. It's almost at 12 o'clock, supposed to be for 1.5 hours. Let's see how much we could do within this 1.5 hours. And I don't want to stand between you and your lunch. But then had it been a physical session happening in a hall, your lunch would most likely would get delayed. But then we do have the luxury these days of attending this lecture, the small session, sitting in a comfortable environment like your home. So most likely you might have your lunch also served as you are there attending this session. So as I believe you would also had a small refreshment coming to your place, or probably you have to prepare something and then have it with you. So even though I'll be sharing a couple of slides, I don't mind if you use a Bluetooth earphone and then walk around your place in a comfortable place like your home or an office environment. You could still get the thing because you are effectively talking about communication. So it's a very simple topic which we all think, and we have been doing it for a number of years. So I just want to share some small thoughts on communication. Probably I don't know whether I'll be talking to you about effective communication. Let me see what communication is. Then we could probably go ahead and share something. Okay. So what I'll be doing here is I would expect you to share, use your chat box quite extensively, and you could, whatever that is there with you, you could actually share that with me. So I wouldn't tell you that you have to ask questions only at the end of the session, but as and when you get some thoughts, you could put it in the chat box, or you can interrupt me by switching on your microphone, and then you can ask me anything, or I can clarify that. Okay. So my small question is, I like to have it as interactive as possible. And if possible, I'll also extensively use a chat box, because that would be quite easy for us to do, because I could see there are close to 80 people here. So not all that 80 would be using a chat box or a microphone. As it happens in any class or a session like this, I would probably expect to have some 8 to 10 people interacting with me. And if you are really very enthusiastic set of participants, please prove me wrong. Okay, so with this small challenge, I like to start off with a small interaction. Are we all ready for a small interactive session? Is that fine? It's going to be quite interactive. Are you all fine with an interactive session? Because I
Yes,
don't
sir.
want to.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely,
We are
absolutely.
absolutely fine.
That's very encouraging, I would say. Okay. So it's Mr. Ravikant saying yes, sir, immediately in the chat box, and a couple of others switched on their mic to say yes, absolutely possible. But one small request from my side. Only when you want to say something, switch on your mic, and then immediately after you have said something, please turn off your microphone, so that there is only one voice at a time. Absolutely fine. Okay. My small clarification, or probably a doubt I could ask you, is this. We have been communicating for long years. Okay. My small question is, when did we actually start communicating? Any idea? How old we were when we started communicating? So people could, participants could come on the chat box, or you want to switch on your microphone. You are at liberty to use any one of these.
Good afternoon, Professor. I'm Yamini Shanmugam from Coimbatore. Sir, I truly believe that we would have started communicating when we were in the mother's womb itself, just by kicking, pushing, just telling her that we are alive and how we feel.
Okay, I think you are absolutely right, ma'am. And a couple of people have misunderstood my question. It's possible, because after all, we are talking about a communication. And there is one small thing like a fire and smoke. That's one way of a communication. And then smoke and dove. That's another communication from Mr. Muruganandam. And then since creation, that's what I think someone wanted to say. And there are other reactions here as well. Since creation, right? I think here is a lady, a participant saying, there's a communication. I think Mrs. Yamini Shanmugam, I suppose.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. She said, even before we are born, we are trying to communicate by the kicks and movements within the womb. Okay. This has been confirmed by a number of doctors, and it's being scientifically proved. Now, what I say, so that pregnancy is kind of divided into 3 trimesters. Probably I will have Ms. Yamini to correct me if I go wrong, right? So in the 3rd trimester, the mother has to be quite sensitive to the movement of the baby inside the womb. If there isn't any movement, the mother should rush to a doctor to see everything is fine with the baby. Okay. So that's probably gave birth to the expression live and kicking, right? I think a number of people would have heard about this expression, so live and kicking. Couple of years back, I read this book by Brian Weiss. This book is about what happens. There's a book is titled "Many Lives and Many Masters." You could easily Google and get a soft copy of the book. It may not be quite ethical for me to say you could get it from the site instead of buying it. I did buy a couple of copies of this book. 2 years back, one of my students suggested this book. Then I was a little more quite curious to know what this book is all about. So I downloaded this book from the website, and then I got a hard copy also. A very interesting book to read. This book talks about, I would say, 86. I'm just putting it on the chat box here. 86. I think you're able to see the chat box.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So it talks about 86 previous births of a lab technician who was born in the US. Dr. Brian Weiss, his basic qualification is is a doctor, and then he specializes in psychoanalysis, psychiatry. Becomes a
Sir,
psychiatrist.
sorry for the interruption, sir. Please, could you repeat the name of the book, sir?
The book is there in the chat box as well. In case you are using a mobile and you are not able to have this, the
Yes,
book
sir.
title is Many Lives and Many Masters. Not simply one life, many lives. So it talks about 86 lives of one lab technician, a lady, a fictitious name with this, Catherine. Okay. So it talks about 86 previous births. So this book also documents a child within a womb can actually listen to what is being said outside the mother's body, and can record in its brain. Okay. Have you ever come across a story in our books, old books or something similar to this? Any old scriptures or old stories talking about something like this? Someone who could listen to what others say when the child is within the mother's womb. Have you ever heard of the story? Yes, I think I have a response from Mr. Nakul Gangadharan. He says the Mahabharata Abhimanyu story. Mr. Nakul, if you could switch on your mic and share me with others as well. What is the story about? Is it possible? Nakul Gangadharan? I think probably is trying to
Yes,
type.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, the story is about Abhimanyu in the son of Arjuna, while Arjuna is describing to his mother how to do the warfare. So he is listening in the womb, and he learns how to get into the Chakravyuha. So the story goes like he is only listening till that, and he does not listen to how to exit from the Chakravyuha. That becomes his nemesis as well, finally.
Thank you, Mr. Nakul Gangadharan. That's you see, there is because when it is there in the Mahabharata, some people would be a little skeptical, saying probably rishis have written like this. Probably only a rishi can listen to what is being said outside a mother's body. But the doctors these days they prove it. What happens in the many lives and many masters is this: the doctor, the psychiatrist helps Catherine. It is a fictitious name. When she has some psychological issues, this doctor is trying to hypnotize and take her to early childhood, and then gradually he takes her to a number of previous births. Okay. So when a person is dying, so the soul goes out of the body, and the soul can actually see the people standing or nearby his body, and just outside the room where he is. So he can also listen to what others say. So the point is, people can listen. People can listen, but the person may not be able to react, respond to what others say. So a lot of stories about this. I think if there is a time, I'll share that with you as we go. And if you have a time and no mind to listen to it, okay. So there is a scientific theory, and there is also epic saying Abhimanyu listen to the strategy of how to break a Chakravyuh and get into that. But unfortunately, there are a couple of stories to it. After that, the mother slept and she couldn't listen to how to break out again and come out of it. But then he learned how to break out and come out after his birth, but then there is a curse on him, and the curse is even though he learns, but he will forget that strategy when there is a time, when in the time of a need, and he eventually perishes in the Chakravyuh. There's a story about this. Okay, so as we are there inside the womb, we can listen, we could react to it, and a number of mothers here in the session would be able to recollect how the baby reacts even after you are born and all that. Okay, but so even though we could listen, we could communicate even before you are born. We could actually remember what we were in the previous births, so many births, but still it's a dormant, so we cannot retrieve and do it unless there is a specialist with us to help us retrieve it. So that's a different story about it. So even before your birth, we are trying to communicate, but the question is how effective we are in our day-to-day communication. Okay, we'll just go to the next slide and see what actually happens in the communication part. Okay, so the next slide I would try and tell you is a communication. It's a small process. It's not a very big complex one, but it turns out to be quite a complex and a tricky and quite a disastrous sometimes. Okay, so it's a simple process of sharing some kind of information, sharing ideas or sharing feelings, or sharing or trying to express our emotions to others, how we feel, how intensely we feel sometimes, either to just one person or to a number of people, using a language. So the language could be anything. Okay, so the point is how effective we are in that. I'll probably give you in the next slide how what happens in the process. As I said, it's just a process. Okay, so we just look at the next slide and say how the process starts. What happens is we have a message in our mind. Okay, so we have a message, and we actually trying to decode the message. In the next slide, you could see that the kind of a small diagrammatic representation of that. Okay, so we kind of code a message in our head, in our mind, and we use words, and then try and have the message in our midst, and then we send it to another person. We share that with another person. Okay, so the other person receives, or a group of people receive it, and then they decode. So when they decode, they get some meaning out of it. Okay, and Jagan, I think you can just show the next slide. This is where you have the small one. So encoding, that means you are composing a message in your mind, brain, and then you formulate a message, and then received by another person, and then he starts decoding it, and then you get the meaning. Believe me, the meaning of whatever we write, the meaning of whatever we say, it is always in the listener's mind. I'm using a listener's even in the case of a reader. Okay, so it's a reader or the listener. Please remember, the reader or the listener has always the meaning, and he gets the right meaning of whatever we write or whatever we speak. So it is not that we say something and then we say, no, no, this is what I meant by that. No, no, this is what I meant by this. Okay. Jagan, I think we can go to the next slide. And this is what is the reality is. Are people able to see this slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Dr. Ashu Mittal says, and then Ishandra Biswas also says, so effective communication happens by accident. But then we have been communicating for years. As a couple of people said, and then we had Ms. Yamini saying, even before we are born, we are trying to communicate. But then this one short, simple sentence puts a whole theory off. We are not communicating at all. Leave alone effective communication. Effective communication happens just by accident. What is actually happening here? Even though, as I said earlier, we have been communicating for long years, and I believe we have quite a good number of teachers here, right? And we all believe that we are trying to communicate to our students in every class of ours, thinking that whatever we have in mind, it's heard by students, and they get the right message. It's not that. Effective communication happens by accident. I'll now request Jagan to play one small video. It's not even a minute. Jagan, you can just play the video, and we will have participants responding to that small video. Jagan, you can start playing one-on-one, the video with the title one-on-one. Okay. So immediately after the first word, there will be some reaction by the participants. So let's stop with the reaction of the participants. Then we'll play the next part of the video. And then after that, we'll play the third part of the video. So just one small video here. Here is a presenter like me. He is trying to have a small session with a small number of participants. Okay, Jagan, you can start, please.
What this organization really needs is a one-on-one approach.
Stop here, please. Just a few more seconds, please. Yes. Yeah, I think the participants were able to see the video.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, and you could now tell me what was that the participant that the trainer was trying to say, and how the trainees reacted to this. Dr. Rajkumar is saying it's surprising. Can it ever happen in a training session at all? So that seems to be the kind of a surprising from Dr. Rajkumar. Any other responses? You can switch on your microphone. Let me know.
Sir, the participants are expecting what he is trying to convey, because one-to-one is it is a special topic, so they are expecting what the person is trying to tell.
I think is it Mr. Dr. Shanmugha Sundaram?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Doctor, what do you mean by one-on-one approach? what the trainer had in mind and what the participants did. So is there a match or is there a mismatch?
Some mismatch, sir.
Mismatch. Okay. Dr. Prachi Agarwal says the speaker seems hyperactive and the participants no, seem lost. Probably, I don't know, Dr. Prachi, you are referring to me and the participants here, or you are referring to the video there. Dr. Parul says maybe this is a new topic for all of them. Individually connected. I think Dr. Prachi is just trying to pull your leg. You obviously mean the video, but I was trying to slightly have a small lively discussion here. Okay. Mr. Bishwas says, I mean, there is one Bishwas saying surprising as well as interesting. So, what makes it surprising and what makes it interesting? Yes. Hello. We are waiting for more information. I get it from Mrs. Sugantha Verma. Okay. We'll just play the next part of her. Jagan, play the next one. And then immediately after the reaction of the trainees, you can pause. Let's see whether this time the trainer is successful. Look at the expression on the part of the trainer. Yeah, I think now we could see when the trainer said one-on-one approach, he said one person would interact with one more person. So for mentoring or for a guiding, so that is what he meant. But the participants were literally took the meaning. They're saying one-on-one, one sitting on another person. So this is too much of a reaction, as somebody said. The next part of the video. So immediately after the reaction, you can pause. The reaction of the trainer is remarkable.
Actually, what this organization really, really needs is repositioning. That means that
Yeah, you can stop here, please. See, what was the word he used and what he meant and how it is understood. I think participants, anyone can switch on your microphone or you can say. Yeah, Dr. Rajani Sajan says repositioning is the word.
Yep.
Yes, please.
So, myself, Satyendra from Mumbai,
Yeah, please.
KCSU Management Placement.
Yeah.
And I think he has escalated probably upscaled his strategy and saying like repositioning, how you guys can reposition or putting in another shoes, how you can do that, reposition yourself. Challenge probably. I think you can participate in that at the new place, reposition place kind of thing. My observation. Thank you.
Yeah, doctor, could you use some other word instead of a place or a position so that the meaning becomes quite clear?
Say reposition, kind of reposition yourself in reposition individuals, reposition your how to say kind of leadership or about that, and repositioned into the how does kind of
absolutely right, doctor. Dr. Satyendra Upadhyay. Could you just give me a few examples of repositioning that happens in an academic institution? And if you come with examples, I think you will be making yourself absolutely clear to all others as well.
Example institution try to develop a research culture in the institution and trying to say like, okay, come on, you guys, everybody has to focus on the research, and by next year we have to get the certain number of the project something. So this was the initial probably, and when the same message is what like repositioned planning kind of things. So when the same message come with the from director, for example, and say to all the faculty staff, reposition yourself when you have, for example, somebody is coming with their strength in the research, somebody is coming with the network, somebody is coming with a technical research, somebody is coming about like interdisciplinary. So everybody they themselves and they become more skilled in the particular domain, which was again collectively achieve the objectives.
Thank you, Dr. Satyendra Upadhyay. I mean, repositioning here. If some participants have worked in an industry, they would know what repositioning is. So one day, an executive is taking care of marketing and sales. So after a few years, he'll be put in charge of a purchase department, and then after some time, and after a couple of years, he might go into the division or the department taking care of human resources. And then after some time, you might even go into strategic planning, or he might, and someday he might finding himself on the production, the shop floor. So for teachers, I would say repositioning. I would probably know one day you are there as a head of the department, right? Running the department as an administrator, and then there your research activity would take probably a small setback, and then before that you would have been a very good teacher, and then you would have started developing, as Dr. Satyendra said, you become a researcher, trying to focus on the publications and all that. So a teacher has a number of multiple roles.
Sorry,
Within an education
the
institute.
banking, the function of the bank.
Yes, Professor.
Great example when the cashier guy is going to other cash book, the passbook and PF account. In the banking, the people they reposition. I think the staff is very, very effectively. It works very well.
Yes. Because I don't mind sharing this with you. We had an IAS officer visiting us a few years back for one of the functions here. He said there are two areas where you may not have a good administrators heading some organizations. One, he said, in the field of education, the other in the field of healthcare. There is a doctor who is extremely good surgeon. So he spent years and years on performing surgery after surgery. Probably if you ask him to do hundreds of surgery in a day, he will do it and nothing would fail. And then eventually he becomes a dean of a medical college and a big hospital. And he was asked to go through hundreds of tender documents, documents where which relates to buying something, purchasing something for his hospital or a college. So he is absolutely, he'll be kind of a fish out of water. He wouldn't know what to do. And similar thing would happen in the educational institutes. There is an extremely well researched, very famous, remarkable researcher. He's also a professor. When ask him to do a bit of an administration, he may not be like it. So whereas what happens in the corporate, that's very common. So they go around to multiple roles, and then they eventually come as a CEO, and then they eventually be doing a very good job in that organization. So this is his view. But then there are institutes which are well managed, and there are hospitals where the surgeons turned out to be good administrators as well. So that was his perception. So in the video, repositioning, he meant was doing a different role, a different job altogether, completely. And whereas these people thought, instead of sitting in this position, in this chair, I'll go to some other chair and sit there. This is what you wanted. Okay. So that is what happens. Effective communication happens by accident. Okay. Later on, if a time permits, we'll also have a small accident being, we'll have an opportunity to see a small accident as well. Jakan, I think you can go to the third and the final part of the video. Let's see whether the third time the trainer is effective or at least succeeds in his communication attempt.
Change. Easily erased.
So was that trainer successful at least in his third attempt?
The change of first observation, change was not that easy actually.
Yeah, I mean, he also failed. Dr.
Maybe
Satyendra,
some of
that's
them
what
they
you're saying?
reacted. I'm not sure I missed part of the video.
Yeah, I think here again he failed miserably. And we have Dr. Ashu Mittal saying a speaker talked about changing the image of a company product to target a new or wider market, but the participants understood different way. They changed their position in the hall. They haven't got the meaning. The speaker was not at all, I would say, hasn't succeeded. And the 3 times he has got failed miserably. Could you notice the person who gave the coins? Could you recognize a person who gives the coin the last person to give the coins? Was he a participant? What was his role in that small hall?
He looks like an office boy.
Yes, he was an office boy who came with cups of tea.
Some tea, yeah.
Yes, Dr. Kirti, you are right. I mean, absolutely right. So here is a person trying to communicate. He fails miserably. First, he said we need to have the first one was what was the first word? One-on-one, right? So one-on-one is a failed miserably. And then he said repositioning. There again, he failed miserably. And then the third, he said what the organization desperately needs is a change. So the third time he becomes more desperate and then says a change. And then they put all people put whatever coins they have on the table. See, that's what I meant earlier, saying effective communication happens by accident. So just one word, whatever we had. If you remember the earlier couple of slides, you encode a message in your mind, and then you try to communicate to the person in front of you, or you write and send it to you. The person receives it. The meaning of what you are trying to say is always there in the listener's mind, and you cannot say, I did not mean this. So here the person is trying to say something. 3 times he fails miserably with just one small expression. At least the first expression was one-on-one, 3 words coming together as one small expression. The second, he had just one word expression. And the third, again one word. And this time he used a very common word that also misunderstood quite miserably. And then there's a huge flop here. So this is what happens in our day-to-day communication. We fail miserably, and then we say, no, I didn't mean this, I meant something else. But by then something has already happened, and it's very, very difficult for us to undo what has already happened. And as a teachers, we could say, no, this is what I meant. But imagine in a workplace where there's a lot of risks involved, and we cannot say, No, this is not what I meant. I meant something else. But then something else has already happened. Something drastic, something very bad has already happened, and we cannot undo that. By then, a lot of damage has already happened. No, yesterday and day before yesterday, we in Tamil Nadu, especially people there in the central Tamil Nadu, had a lot of anxious moments about what will happen if the severe cyclone hits us or there. So there are a number of TV channels and newspapers, and then WhatsApp forwards, and then social media trying to project what is happening. They're trying to say what's going to happen, when is going to happen. So effective communication has to happen. So you have to repeat a number of times. Now, as a teachers, we are prone to repeating whatever we say in the classroom without ever realizing that effective communication happens just by accident. Now, why we repeat what we say in the classroom? For this could be a number of reasons. We'll see that in a few minutes from now. Jagan, could I request you to play the next video where you have the small title with the trust, or a team building. Sorry, I use the wrong word. You have the next video coming up. Here again, now you have a trainer and a couple of trainees. Let's see what happens here. Jagat, 1 minute, please. Just pause it, please. Yeah. Just a small word. Don't bother about the audio in case you are not able to get the audio in a clear, loud and clear manner. Don't worry. The picture would speak for itself. Jagan, just play it for a couple of more seconds. When one of the participants here comes on to stand at a small, the raised platform. Play it again. Play on. Yeah, just stop here, please, Jagan. Just stop here. Right. Now, the person on your screen on the right extreme is a trainer, and all others are trainees. It's a small team building exercise which there's a trainer is trying to teach them. So what he is trying to say is, he has asked one of the trainees who's there in the green shirt, ask him to stand on a small raised platform, and the trainer who's there on the right extreme says, ask the guy in a green shirt to close his eyes, and he is asking him to fall down. And when he says 1, 2, 3, he has to fall. And when he is falling, the other trainees come in place and they try to catch hold of him. This is what the trainer has said in case you are not able to get the audio. Now I request Jagan to play the video. Let's see what happens at the end of the video. Jagan, please. So it's now open to the participants to comment what you saw, what you felt, whether his act of a communication was a successful or is a miserable failure, or what really happened, and who's to be blamed. And we have Dr. Saravanan saying it's a miscommunication. Don't worry, we'll have a small thing on that as well.
Only, sir.
Yes, Dr. Shanmugasundaram, yes, please.
Sir, miscommunication only because the trainer never mentioned whether the participant has to fall down in the front or at the back side.
Okay, so who's at fault is the trainer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, the guy who's in the white or the gray shirt is at a fault. Okay.
Green said he has understood that he has to fall down at the front.
Okay, he has to fall down in front of him. Okay, and
Yes.
we have a Dr. Saravanan saying the trainer has to say the direction to fall, and also from the team, Dr. Saravanan, I think you have to be a little more clear. The trainer has to say the direction, that's fine, but the second part I haven't got it. Also from the team. Okay, that part I think you have to
Sir,
be.
I have another viewpoint in that.
Yes.
Sir, actually, fine, the trainer has to, but sometime the communication, I don't know, this exercise probably you are showing for the team building. One thing, even the person who is standing on the table, he should also understand if the trainer is telling him to fall down from up, there will be some backup plan which he might have thought of. So the backup plan could be that somebody will catch and they will not allow to fall him down. So the people who are standing at the backside will be the catchers. There is no net available there. So it is a team building. The trust also factor which is missing from the participants. If the trainer every time, I feel that in a team building exercise, how much you trust to your partners also make a lot of sense. So I understand the trainer may be not given a complete instruction, but it happens in life that every time it is not possible to give instruction what you are supposed to do. Certain things which you need to read in between the line and act on that. So I feel that we should have a trust that if the leader is telling me to fall down, he don't want me to get hurt. So how I will do that? So somebody might be catching him. So all team members were standing at the back. So instead of falling front, he should have fallen down at the back. That is also another point of view which I feel.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kirti. And then what you're saying is, I just want to have your stand very clearly mentioned. Who's at fault, the trainer or the trainee, or the other trainees who are about to catch the falling trainee? There are three people involved here. So who's at fault?
Trainer only, sir.
Trainer only. Okay. Dr. Kirti, what is your perception?
Sir, I give 50-50 because trainer is right. Maybe he is not able to communicate properly, but sometimes it happens that in an organization, certain things to be done spontaneously also. So even the participant also use little common sense to get succeed.
I think the person who was in the green shirt may be treated as a fault because he somewhere lacked the trust in the team and he went forward rather than backward. Because the trainer has also mentioned, that other team member to catch him, support him, so he must have understood and probably lack of the trust, he was taken decision other way.
Sir, I have an
Sir.
opinion.
Yeah, one person at a time, please.
Yeah, sir, I'm Triveni here. I feel it was also the trainee's fault because maybe he isn't understood what was communicated to him rightly. And that is the reason why he, instead of falling backward, he's fallen forward. He's just understood that he has to fall, and the direction he's not even realized, neither did he get it clarified, so he's fallen forward.
That's fine. I think there was one more person tried to say something. Yes,
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, this is what happened actually while asking the questions to the students, even in the test or in the examination. Suppose if you ask the questions like describe the working of a machine, the students are telling, suppose they are writing the working of the machine. Then if it is a 10-mark question, what the faculty is expecting? The faculty is expecting to draw the diagram of the machine and the working principle of the machine, everything. But what the students are thinking, simply they are writing only the working and they are expecting to give her 10 marks, but this is the communication gap. So this is what happened in my life also. So when I am asking questions, I have to clear cut. I have to give, describe and draw the diagram, and you have to name the parts. Even some students they have asked, sir, you have not mentioned whether I have to name the parts in the machine. You have to clearly give it in the question. Then only I can write it.
No
This
problem,
is
Dr.
practically I
Shanmugasundaram.
have experienced.
Yeah. I mean, see, what happens with the students is this. I mean, whatever questions you ask, they would write what they know. Probably they have. It's not a question of they haven't understood the question. Uh, they would have understood the question, but still they would sometimes they would pretend as though they misunderstood the question, and then they write whatever they know about it, and trying to confuse the teacher. I'll probably share what happened in my class in a few minutes from now. In case I forget, Dr. Shanmugasundaram, please remind me about this. Here in this video, you have three groups of people to be blamed. The trainer was not very clear in his instruction whether the person has to fall backwards or forwards. That's one mistake. The trainee who has taken the risk in great earnest and sincerity has volunteered to take the risk. He hasn't asked the trainer whether you should fall in front of him or fall back, and that the trainee who volunteered failed to hear. This I would like to emphasize quite very clearly. He failed to hear the movement of other trainees behind his back. Probably he would have heard the movement of other trainees behind his back, and that other trainees who are about to catch him also have not given clear indication that they are standing behind him. They would have made some kind of a noise or something, and they are behind his back. So communication failed miserably here, and resulting to a small accident. So this is what happens in a day-to-day life. So we can't take a communication for granted that something will happen on its own, and we could go back and then do it. And Dr. Shanmugasundaram said something, miscommunication happens, and the students will take whatever they have in mind. I'll ask my friend Jagan to share a small a Word document, right? This is called grapevine in our communication field. Okay, I'm just putting it as a grapevine. So this is a small passage. Thanks for making it big, Mr. Jagan. Just take a minute to read. There is a small communication which goes from a principal to vice principal. Take your own time to read it and see how the communication gets distorted. Very much distorted. So if one of you say that you have read the first passage, Mr. Jagan will go to the next passage. Here is the second one, how the vice principal communicates to the heads of departments. From the head of the department, the message goes to the faculty members. Look at the distortion here again. And the communication happens between faculty members and class representatives. And finally, from the class representative to the students. Some students will go to the car park today to see the principal disappear. It's a pity this doesn't happen every day. This is how rumor would get generated. This is what happens in a classroom environment, also in a society. Communication gets easily distorted. If you see the first passage says there is going to be a solar eclipse, and you could at 11 o'clock this happens, and the sun disappears behind the moon for 2 minutes, and the time will be allowed for all staff and students to view the eclipse in the parking lot, and they should meet at 10 minutes to 11 o'clock, and you will have a principal delivering a short speech saying what happens during the eclipse, and safety goggles will also be given at a small cost because the students should not walk away with this. And when it goes to the students, it says the principal will disappear today. It's a pity this does not happen every day. So this is happening in our day-to-day lives. This could happen. This is a very, very common, natural phenomenon. You can't do anything about it because we are all human beings. We are not photocopying machines. We are not Xerox machines to repeat what we hear, because as human beings, we like certain things, we dislike certain things, we understand certain things, and we don't understand certain other things. So we would easily distort messages as it happens. Okay, so this is usually called grapevine, or in other words, this we call rumor. A lack of right understanding, that's what you have Yushendra was saying. This happens every day. Suppose there is a person telling me someone met with an accident, and or probably the class is not going to happen because the teacher is on the way, he'll come a little late, so the class is postponed. He hasn't understood the word postponed, but when he goes to the class, he might even say post-mortem. And then other students will say, oh, somebody met with an accident, there's a post-mortem, something is like this happening. So what is this? So postpone, a very simple word like a postpone would become like a post-mortem. It's possible because we understand certain things. As I said earlier, we don't understand certain other things. So we tend to distort messages, information which we receive. But industries, as opposed to institutes, industries do understand, do acknowledge that something like this will happen, and they try to document every bit of information that is trying to be passed on to employees in their organization. So this is called a grapevine, the way rumors would get generated. Now, one of the very popular examples, I don't know whether this happened in actually a plant like Tata Motors, but this could have happened easily. See, for example, the nano car project was started in West Bengal. For some reason or other, it has to be shifted to Gujarat. So in organizations of in industries, they would know grapevine, it's an easy channel for them to communicate. So they would have planted a rumor saying the plant will be shifted to Tamil Nadu, where we have a number of auto companies now having operations. So then they would have found out how the employees react. Then they finally would have said, no, we are not going to Tamil Nadu, we are going to Gujarat, where they actually started. And we know later on what happened to the nano car project. So this is how rumors generate. Now, I tried this small passage in my classes, and it turned out to be very, very funny, and the whole class would be laughing their heart out as the message gets distorted. See, in a virtual platform, in a digital platform like this, it's very difficult for us to have this done. So what I will share with you is, I'll share with you non-verbal communication which happened in one of my classes. So so not only verbal communication gets getting distorted, even non-verbal communication also would get distorted. So now I request Jagan to share a small video which I shot in the classroom. Jagan, just start with a non-verbal grapevine file first, then you can go to non-verbal 2. That's the second part of the video. Now you'll have the second part of the video. So the last person is trying to see what was the message which has gone to the first person. Okay, Jagan. Yeah, thank you, Jagan. So now it's open to all participants. Yeah, I think Dr. Kiti, you are right. It's like a Chinese whisper. You are right. But what actually happens is a Chinese whisper without any words. Okay. So this is, I mean, I could ask any one participant to say two things. One is, what was the original message and what was the last message and the message conveyed by the last person? What was the original message? I mean, if you want to know, switch on your microphone and say something, it's fine. Or if you could put it on the chat box, it's also fine.
Sir, actually, something has been picked up. It is I don't know. I feel it is somebody is drying the clothes on a wire or somewhere, or he's picking something and putting at a higher side, and or it is throwing. That is what I understood.
Absolutely fine. Actually, the first one is actually taking a piece of a cloth from a bucket or something, putting it on line, and then clipping it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
what
the last person has just picked up, and then he didn't understood what exactly he's supposed to do next.
Okay. I think there is a small lag in the video. What actually happened was he started beating drums with the sticks.
Because the video is not coming clearly.
Yeah.
So
there is a small lag in the video. So finally, it turns out to be kind of a drum beat. I mean, he bends his knees and then beats drum and then straightens up and then beats drum. So what started as picking up a cloth and putting it on line and clipping it, and finally turns out to be kind of a drum beat. So not only using words, even non-verbal could also be kind of misunderstood. So this is what I was trying to say. This happened in one of my classes. It is the first year undergraduate class. This happened last year. So thanks to one student, he actually wanted to take the whole thing recorded. So this is what happened. And if you go to your website, some internet site, and then you type miscommunication video, you will find this being demonstrated in one IIM or other. Okay, so with just 7 people, it's enough to kind of demonstrate how communication gets distorted. So we have to be very, very careful when we try to communicate to others. So this is what I was trying to tell you, that effective communication happens by accident. So we have to be very, very careful when we communicate. Later, I think in the next slide, which Jagan is going to show you, look at the kind of success rate in a communication, right? So in a mass media, the success rate is only 5%. And we think in a face-to-face communication, it will be 25%. See, you could take our own platform as a mass medium. So the success rate will be only 5%. And in spite of that, even in advertising, that is why a lot of advertising agency trying to be very effective in their communication. When they advertise for a product or a service, they think of a small story and then try to advertise that. Okay, so we have to be very, very smart, clever, and trying to have communication done. And what I would request Jagan is to show the next 2 slides only for 10 seconds. Just to show only for 10 seconds, and then we'll have a small video, and then we have a floor open for a discussion. Next slide, please, Jagan. Next, please. Okay. Could I ask participants to respond by switching on your microphone? What you saw in those two slides?
So initially, what we saw was once upon a time and once upon, once upon a time, but when we saw it again, it was once upon a time.
Okay.
So once first slide shows that once in a lifetime and other is once upon a time.
Okay.
Two A's. We had two A's actually.
That is a Dr. Kirti, I suppose. Yes?
Yes, sir. This is Yamini, sir.
Okay. Dr. Yamini, Dr. Kirti said something else.
The first slide it showed once upon a lifetime. I mean, twice A was there twice, sir.
Okay.
In both the slides, we had once upon a time and once upon a lifetime, something like that.
Okay. That's
in the beginning we saw only A once. So only when you see it next time, no. So it is we see that the mistake.
Okay. I think you people were very sharp enough to get a hint from me. When I asked Mr. Jagan to show the slides for only 10 seconds, I mean, there's a lot of time for you to read that number of times.
Yes.
Like this, you could read it once, and then like this, you can read it again, and this, you can read it twice. So there is every possibility you would have read it some 4, if not 3, 4, you could have read it 6, 7 times, and then you could have got the message. Right. This is for others to respond, to know, or to at least know other participants could. Is Dr. Yamini right or Dr. Kirti right, or they're wrong? So what others saw? Any response from other participants?
Sir, once upon a time means actually it is a past.
Okay.
Once in a lifetime, hereafter it may happen like that. I understood, sir.
Okay, so that's how you understood. Any other response, please? Other than Dr. Shanmugha Sundaram? Any others? Any others, please? Dr. Shanmugha Sundaram, he read it what he had in mind. So he thought what I had in mind is reflected there on the slide. But whereas Dr. Yamini and Dr. Kirti read something else. So we have to see who's right and who's wrong, or both are right and both are wrong. So we don't know. So I'm just waiting for at least one more participant to respond. Okay, Jagan, could you please go to the previous 2 slides, please? Yes. Yeah, the next. Yeah, here, if you could see, it's once in a lifetime. The word "ye" is repeated twice. And then the next slide also, once upon a time, you have the same word repeated again. This is just to show that we as a human beings are not photocopying machines. We read that as once upon a time, we would have already thought I have only one A, not 2 A's. I don't have a word repeated. So this is what happens when we perceive things. I think what Jagan showed as the next slide, your perception depends on what we prepare to see or what we want to see. One of our former directors had this on his table. He had a table, and then he had also a table glass. Between the table and the glass, he had this. Your perception depends on what you want to see, or you see what your mind is prepared to see. You are not seeing what is already there. So this is a small gap between what actually happens, what is actually there, and what we are seeing. Okay, now this happens when we see a slide. Now I'll ask Mr. Jagan to play a small video, and you have a small question also. Jagan, please stop when there is a question. Now we can play the video, selective attention. You can close this video, Dr. Jagan.
How many?
Yeah, you can stop here, please. So the question was, how many passes did the players wearing white do? How many passes they did?
I able to count 28 almost.
28. Oh, fantastic. Okay. But there could be some video lag also. The video may not have played the way we would like to have it. Any other responses, please?
6.
6. Okay. Any other?
15.
8. Okay, fine. Fantastic.
15.
15 from Mr. Nishant.
11.
11 from Dr. Guha. Yes. Okay. Now you see it has come to some single digit to 28. Let's see what was the actual number. Jagan, please. Stop it, please. The correct answer is 15 pauses. You could actually Google and download this video and you can see it for yourself. Selective attention. You can just Google for a video and do this. But did you see anything else other than this 15 passes or 10 passes or 28 passes? Did you see anything else? Yes?
The players are changing the position.
Yes, they keep changing. Yes, that's right. That's right, Dr. Guha. That's right. Yes. Did you see anything else? Okay, I think we'll play that and you'll know whether you have seen that. We'll play it. Mr. Jagan, please. Did anyone see the gorilla? There's a gorilla which says no and says, please look at me, kind of trying to catch your attention. See, if you're seeing it for the first time, you can close this video, please. Now, if you're seeing it for the first time, most of you would miss the gorilla. And most of you may even miss the counting as well. So, we as a human beings would see certain things, we would ignore certain other things. Now, this is what happens when a policeman trying to investigate some crime or something. They would try to get information from lots of people, and then eventually they try to decide actually what happened. And they also try to do a small demo with a person who has done something. So this is what happens. And believe me, what you have saw is true, but there is something more to it. I think that we could see in the next slide. So there isn't any one perception which is absolutely valid. Jagan, next slide, please. There is no perception which is absolutely valid, and there is no perception which is absolutely correct, which is absolutely represents the whole truth. Right. This is what you need to have. Jagan, we'll go to the next slide. This is a small bit of a sentence, and is it absolutely right or is something wrong here?
Punctuation error.
There's a punctuation error. So what has to be there? What actually means and what is the original intended meaning?
Actually wants to sell the land.
Yes, Dr. Geeta. Yes.
It has been mentioned like he wants to sell the land and his wife.
Yeah,
So
that's all. Yes. So
but actually he wants to sell only his land.
Yeah. I mean, being a lady, I think you would be furious about this, right? How could someone sell land and his wife? Probably would have happened in the Middle Ages, not these days. Okay, right. This is a small punctuation error, or the English language being word order based. You have to be extremely careful, and you should be very clear, because the reader takes some other meaning other than what is intended. In the next slide, which Jagan is going to show you, you have something else. Is there any meaning which you get out of this slide? I would like to have a very quick response. Yes, please.
No.
What you get? Yes, I can hear.
Yeah, sir. What I feel from these few lines, that it is the feeling of the lady who want that the person with whom she will get it is my self perception, with whom she will get married should be very sincere. She should not drink and very dedicated. He should respect to the families both, and he should be very sincere, and he should be very his personality should be very nice.
Yeah. I think Dr. Mrs. Anita Brar, I think you are from Punjab.
I am from J&K. I am a typical Kashmiri girl.
Okay, fine, good. You are right.
How
when
you
you
guess that, sir?
Pardon me?
Sir, how you guess that from North I am?
By the second name.
Okay. Okay. Brars are Sikh. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So my guess is right?
Yeah, sure. No, actually, sir, it is a big story. I don't know. We don't have that much of time.
Yeah. Make it short, please.
Yeah, sir. It was actually Braru. It is a Kashmiri caste, Brahman Pandit Kashmiri caste. So while my father was recruited in army, he was a dentist. So that O, they omitted the O. So from that very day it came as Brar. So it is continuing like Brar.
Okay. But in the Punjab, this name is used, no, widely?
Yeah. Punjab, they have this surname Brars.
Yes.
Blue Star operation was done by Brar, sir. Blue Star operation.
Okay.
Was done by Brar.
Thanks for that bit of information. Now, as you rightly guessed, it's a matrimonial ad, by by a father or mother, or probably by the girl herself. Now, in spite of so many mistakes, this is very clear, right? In spite of spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, grammar mistakes. Now, this seems to be, to me, fairly successful bit of a communication. Let's go to the next slide, Mr. Jagan. Could you make anything out of this sentence, which is completely grammatically correct, and every word is properly spelled, Is there any meaning you can get out of
Individuals
this?
who make their adores in victorious edifice be advised to refrain from speculating excesses.
Sir, it's like Shashi Tharoor's English.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Guha, you're right. This is Shashi Tharoor speaking. And then someone who creates a terror is called a terrorist, and someone who talks like this is called a terrorist.
True, sir.
Right. Here is a Tharoor talking. Right. There's a terrorist and terrorist. Okay. So the simple meaning here is people who live in glass houses should not throw stone at others. So individuals is a people. So we'll go to the next slide. How do you view this sentence?
It's individual perception, sir.
Yes. What is your perception, please?
See, for me, it's not a nuisance. It's like a get together. I really love to, and it's it may be for someone that they don't like that much of like so much of gathering, so much of like a discussion and all. But for me, it's like it is not correct for me.
Okay, for
Like
you, it's
if
not
I am
correct.
going to some relatives, I'll find happiness in over there.
Okay. Now, it's supposed to have two different meanings. One is relatives who visit can be a nuisance, or when we visit relatives, we might turn out to be a kind of a nuisance, especially these
Yeah.
pandemic days. Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
So very short, simple, grammatically correct sentence turns out to be something ambiguous. Okay, so we have to be very, very careful if we are trying to be very careful or very brief. Okay, and we'll go to the next slide. And the point is, are we looking for a grammar, correctness, the right words? Are we looking for communication? So there's one sentence which we picked from a matrimonial ad, has number of mistakes, but turns out to be very effective in communication, whereas the other sentences which are grammatically correct failed miserably in communication. So we'll go to the next slide, with which I'll just stop, and then I'll just go back to the childhood days and make you remember how you were as a child, or probably there is a child at home, you would know this, the implication of this. Now, when we were young, not even born, we were using a body language, right? Kicking and crying and all that. When crying child video was given to a number of men, they came with only two or three meanings, whereas when it was shown to a number of women, they came with many different interpretations, right? And as we grow, little older, the child is born, a couple of months old. The child is very, very sensitive to the tone in which we talk to the child. And the child is crying, and the mother has to use, or the others in the family have to use very soft, polite, tender tone to make the child stop crying. But even if you use very sweet, very good words, come on, baby, why do you cry? Be quiet. We are all here to take care of you. Please, could you please stop crying? What are you doing? If you are talking like this to your child, the child will make your life a hell for another half an hour at least. Am I right? Right. So you have to have a very good tone, proper tone. Try to control your tone, and if you could control your tone and the body language, you would have a much, much better effect when you're trying to communicate. And the words which we use would have only 10% of effect, but the remaining 90% of effect is conveyed by the tone in which we talk to people and by the body language in which we try to communicate. But men are not very effective when they read someone's body language, whereas women are very, very sharp and focused, and they would interpret body language in a much, much better way. That is why men find it extremely difficult when they lie to their wives and they easily get caught. Even though they use a number of good words and all that. Whereas when a child also tries to tell a lie, a mother can easily find out, not a father, right? So with which I just stop here because it's already 1:30. I should have stopped at 1:15. And if there are any questions, I will be very happy to take them. And I don't want to stand between you and your lunch in case you haven't had your lunch. If there are any questions, please.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask. You can just even type it in chat box. Okay, sir, I think we can just wind up the session because we have another session running up at the 2:15. If there is any more questions, you can just drop in the WhatsApp group so that we will forward to sir and get it answered. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, participants.
Thank you so much. I had a nice session, and thank you so much. Bye bye. Bye.
Thank you. Participants, please be there 10 minutes before the session for afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.